Hey, I'm Jake.
And I'm Michelle.
Bienvenidos a España. We are coming at you today from Estepona, Spain, Boundless's latest location. And this one is the Andalusia, southern Spain location on the Costa del Sol.
Yeah, and we are going to run through just our experience here, some of the pros and cons. I'm going to tell you exactly what you can expect in a minute from this video. But if you have any questions afterward, feel free to always message us directly. You can find me over on Instagram at Michelle Champ. I'll list it here. And then if you find this video helpful as well, we have a referral code that you can use to get €600 off your first day with Boundless Life.
Yeah, and we're not employed by Boundless. We're not sponsored by Boundless. We're just giving our feedback. We've been to all the locations so far for Boundless. So just sharing our experiences.
As a family.
Make sure you connect with your family rep and with Boundless to get any updates. We're currently in the January, February, March cohort in 2025. So things change over the season, so make sure you check and get the latest updates from whenever you're watching this video.
Yeah, so what you can expect in this video, we're gonna go over the location, a bunch of logistics, the housing, the school, the education center, the hub. We'll go over some of the experiences that you can have through Boundless Life that they plan, as well as the weather, the food, where you can find great groceries, farms, that sort of thing. Some side trips that you can experience while you're here, as well as pros and cons, and then we'll end.
Maybe we'll even compare it to some of the other locations.
We'll end comparing it to the other locations, which is always what we're asked, which is the best location.
Which
one should we go to? So that's kind of what you can expect from the video. Hopefully it gives a full overview. But like we said, if you have any questions, shoot us a message. We respond to everything.
All right, how did we get here?
Okay, so we flew into Malaga. Malaga is about an hour away.
Yeah, under an hour away from Estepona to Malaga and vice versa. And Malaga is a regional airport. It doesn't have so many connections to it. You generally have to connect through one of the other major European capitals to get to Malaga. So make sure you plan accordingly. I don't think I would recommend trying to fly into Madrid and then taking a train or driving.
I mean, if you flew to Madrid, just take a flight to Malaga.
Yeah, it's too far to try to connect on land.
And it's honestly just really easy to fly into Malaga. If you have to fly in early, Malaga is actually a fantastic city. Way underrated. The old town there's like a hike you can do up to the castle, the port, everything. It's just really beautiful. So that's a really easy airport to fly into and come to Estepona.
Yeah, and there's not train service into Estepona. The rest of Spain has pretty decent train service throughout, but Estepona is not on the train line, so it's not easy to get to here as a destination on train.
Right. So Boundless Life will typically pick you up from the airport and bring you to Estepona. If you fly in other times or take other trips, you can always take the bus or rent a car. Renting a car here is very easy, and we'll get into some of that a little bit later. So for Estepona, Malaga is located in the Andalusia area, which is this whole kind of southern region.
Yep.
And then Estepona specifically is located on the Costa del Sol, which is the sunny coast.
Sunny coast.
The sunny southern coast. And it is quite sunny most of the days. Like so much of January, February was sunny. March, we have a couple rainy days leading into it, but I mean, this is a pretty great weather. I think year-round great weather. It's pretty beautiful here.
And as far as renting a car, you can rent a car the whole time and it's not that expensive. Driving here is quite easy. You can go to all these nearby towns very easily by renting a car. The highways are very nice. They do have toll roads where you just swipe a credit card, tap a credit card to pay the toll, which aren't so cheap, but it's reasonable to go for a day trip here and there. We find that we haven't needed a rental car the whole time. We've just done these little stints where we'll rent it for 2 weeks at a time and then not have it for 2 weeks or a month at a time.
Because it's so easy to rent a car, I think you can kind of figure out like when do you want to use the car, and because you don't need a car while you're here, this is a really fabulously walkable town. It's really easy. It's quite flat for the most part, but we'll get into some of that a little bit in the housing section. But it's so easy to walk.
Yeah, and we have not used our rental car for getting groceries or things like that. Everything is right here, walking distance. The only thing we've really used a rental car for is to explore beyond Estepona to some of these other nearby towns and cities.
Yeah, car rental really easy. Train not really existent in this area, but if you go north, then that's where you get the trains.
Yep.
Okay, housing.
Yeah, so there are This is the biggest Boundless location to date. So there are currently 32 families here.
Or more, yeah.
And so they have housing all over town, but also with that many families, they also ask some of the families to get their own housing. So it's split between boundless housing and non-boundless housing. We are not doing boundless housing here. When we joined, it wasn't available to us, so we got a more modern apartment in sort of the center of town.
Yep.
And a building that has a lot of amenities, so it has a rooftop pool and things like that.
Yeah, a gym, a sauna, which is has been really useful. So we actually really like it. But I think in general, housing in Europe, I think where people get disappointed is because their expectations are that they're gonna have this like grand, beautiful place that maybe they've experienced somewhere else. And the truth is in Europe, it's just smaller. So you have to set your expectations first of all. Like your place is not going to be big unless you get out of Estepona or a little bit further away, then you can find a bit bigger place. But in general, all European apartments are quite small. They're quite small and usually they're not super open floor plan. So that kind of varies. Ours has a decently open plan, but it's small. I mean, it's not like it's grand, it's small. We love it, but just set your expectations straight.
Yeah, and Estepona is not a big city, but it is sort of city living. You know, it's filled with apartment buildings. And so you may be coming from your house back wherever you're from, and you're not gonna have the space of a house here if you're living in the middle of a city at Estepona.
Right.
So it's gonna be more of like living in an apartment in the city and having neighbors on both sides, up and down above you. That's generally what it's like living in the heart of Estepona.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about the different parts of Estepona, different parts of town. So you have the old town, right? Which is super charming. Cobblestone streets, but super walkable. Everything is super stroller friendly. If you're looking for stroller friendly, everything is stroller friendly. Then you have like this beautiful promenade that is, I mean, it's amazing, this promenade. There's a bike path. There's like it's like 3 tiers. It's like the tier by the shops, the tier for the bike path, and then the tier by the beach, all right next to each other. And super walkable. So then you have that kind of stretch, and that's where the EC is located, the education center. And then you have the port. And the port is, I would say, like a lot of newer developments.
Yeah.
It's a bit further away though, and a lot of times if you get something near the port, you're going to be walking a bit uphill. It's not going to be like as direct of a walk. Not that anything's that far though. It still could be maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, but they're more sprawling complexes, newer complexes, where they have more amenities. So they have a big pool, more like a resort style living with gardens and a gym and things like that. So if you get towards the port, up the hill, so it'll be a little bit more of a walk up and down the hill each day, but you may have more space there. You'll have parking there included with the place you get, and some of those amenities like a pool, maybe.
But you
a small
are
gym.
farther away from kind of like everything else.
Yeah.
So that's the trade-off, is that I don't know that I necessarily, I mean, we have the option, like, could we stay at the port next time we come here? And we chose not to because we like.
Did you hear that? She just gave it away. We like it so much here, we're gonna come back.
I'll tell you why though in a little bit. But we like being able to quickly like walk into Old Town in 5 minutes, right? But we can be at the EC in 8 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And we can be at the beach in 5 minutes. And it's just like really convenient to everything, where the port is a little bit on the one side of town, right? So you're gonna have even more of a walk to the other side of town. So that's a give or take. You did mention something really important though, is that if you are going to rent a car or you have a car, it is really nice to have a parking spot. It's not necessary. There have been enough people that have like had parking spots that people have been like, you can stay in mine for the night or find something on the street, but it's been really helpful.
Yeah, there definitely is street parking available, but it's a hot commodity, so you may have to loop around a few times to find a spot. Generally, if you're in Old Town, it usually does not include a parking spot.
Yeah.
If you're in some of the bigger buildings, you may have garage parking, or if you're up in that port area, they have parking more included with places.
Right. And we're lucky we have parking included in ours too, which is nice. Yeah. So Boundless housing, okay. Boundless is constantly getting new and more housing. So this is probably gonna change drastically. So I'm gonna say something that Boundless is probably not gonna like, but I will say that they're
not listening, it's okay.
But this is the truth. And so, because I wanna just be honest about the pros and cons here so you can make a decision best for you. The housing here hasn't gotten great feedback. Now, there have been a couple of people that really love their Boundless housing. This is like the Boundless accommodations that people have chosen. But there's enough that it's, I don't know, I can't really, and I haven't been in a lot of their places, so I can't really be like, oh, they're just not used to this or something like that, right? There's been enough kind of I like it, but I don't love it type of stuff, right?
Yeah. Generally what I've heard is that the Boundless locations, the accommodations, are closer to the EC, so a shorter walk to and from school, and they tend to be close to the beach and the playground right there. So there's some convenience there, but maybe the place itself isn't everything they want it to be.
Yeah, maybe not like updated modern as much as they want it.
Yeah, which is common. If you're on that main boardwalk area, the main paseo, the buildings there are a little more dated and they're not as rehabbed.
Yeah.
So generally if you want that beachfront, right on the boardwalk, right near the playground, up front on the boardwalk, you're probably not going to have the latest, most modern place, maybe not the most biggest space.
Yeah, so when people reach out to me too and they're like, what do you think about this housing? I'm always just like, what is important to you? Because you're not going to find everything you need in one housing, likely, right? So you just have to feel like, what is the most important to me? What am I going to be like most happy or most disappointed with if I don't have, right? So just kind of think about that.
Yeah.
But in general, the nice thing about Boundless housing is you get cleaning, and because for us to get cleaning here, it's actually really quite expensive.
Yeah.
You can get a cleaning. Some people have gotten a cleaning person for reasonable price, but I think by the time it adds up, and if they want to change your sheets and all that kind of stuff, then it starts to add up. And so that's nice that that's included in Boundless housing, and that you have maintenance like on call, basically, right? You can just call somebody and maintenance is there and things are taken care of.
And also say that this is only the second full cohort here in Spain for Boundless.
Right.
And so they're constantly revising their units and changing over, adding more units to their collection. So keep checking back with them, see what they have available, and see if it fits best for your family.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's move on to the Education Center, which is known as the EC, which is known as the School of Boundless.
Yeah, so the location, first of all, is right on that main boardwalk, facing the beach, so right across from the beach. Really convenient central location, kind of in the heart of everything. And the location couldn't be better for allowing the kids to spend time outside. So a lot of times they start the day, depending on the age groups, etc. Some of them start the day on certain days of the week with outdoor, sort of a yoga, mindfulness, moving their body out on the sand down by the beach, which has been fantastic. Just to have your kids be able to start the day outside like that. Really gets them geared up for
But they also have like PE classes on the tennis courts, so like nearby. But they do not, at the EC, they do not have their own private outdoor space, which they have at some of the other locations. They don't have that at this location. But I mean, again, it's like the location is amazing. And every time you walk to school or pick up, you're just like, this is a pretty fantastic location. You're walking along the promenade with the beach right there, the sun is shining, and it's pretty stellar. Yeah, and
so we have kids in the older group and a baby in the youngest group. And so the PE class is really nice. They've formed a partnership with the local tennis club. So they have a PE class twice a week outside in these tennis courts. So they're contained safely, but they have plenty of space to run around and do all these games, which I think is fantastic. And they haven't really had a lot of that at other locations.
Right, yeah.
And as for the little kids, the littlest kids, they walk to the beach or to the playground. They have a beautiful modern playground. Yeah. So they do that pretty much every other day. They're doing one or the other. So they're spending a lot of time outside.
I mean, there's a couple different playgrounds around. One is like just right on the promenade, which is also a nice meetup spot after school every day. It's like a natural play date. Every day you can find so many Boundless families there. And then the parents sit and chat or have a spritz or something. But they also have other playgrounds around town. And sometimes they take them to the other playgrounds as well, which is nice.
Yeah, and credit to the town of Estepona for really keeping everything very clean. Yeah. They are constantly putting in new flower beds and cleaning the trees and cleaning up the sidewalk, all of that. So really well done keeping up. And also the beach itself. They have a tractor that is cleaning, filtering the sand on the beach every single day. Yeah. Filtering it, raking the sand every single day.
Right. Which, when we get into kind of pros and cons, we were going to say this, but I'll just say it now that you talked about the beach, is that it's not the most beautiful beach in the world, right? It's not like the most perfect sand or the best beach, but it is pretty amazing how, like, what a stretch of beach it is, that it's right there for you, and that it's really wide. Yeah. And so the kids play soccer on there. It's really, really nice.
It's not a rocky beach. It's not a dirty beach. No. It's just a really wide, decent beach. Yeah. With a beautiful stretch of sea out in front of it.
Right. So, okay, just really quickly about the Education Center is the classrooms. I mean, it's a smaller building, wouldn't you say? I mean, the 1 to 3 year old class is actually in the building right next door, and then all the other classrooms are in that the main education center, right? But next door is the young class. And they all have like nice natural light, I will say.
Yeah.
Like at first I wasn't sure about the flow of the classrooms, but it seems to work. And all the kids love it. They say that they love each of their classroom. And when I go in there, there's nice natural light.
Yeah,
nice
it's a bit of a trade-off though. It's not this huge EC with so much indoor space.
Right.
I think you're compromising a bit because you're also giving them that access to the outdoor space and the beach area and the playground area right there. So that's the give and take of it.
Right. Okay, and then one other thing I wanted to say about this location right now. I know Boundless is working really hard with like a Spanish program, but the reality is that there is not as much Spanish spoken during school as I would like personally, but I would like a ton of Spanish spoken, like half of the subjects in Spanish. So I don't know what that might completely change by the cohort that you are coming to or thinking about coming to. So if that's important to you, maybe just check back what that reality is. Right now it's a Spanish class. And then in the younger class, I try to have the teachers speak as much Spanish as possible to the young ones, because what else is more important?
Yeah. So it's not like it's an immersion program, nothing like that at this
Not
time.
yet. Right.
At this time, it's just one of the courses throughout the day has some Spanish introduction.
And then as far as the education, we've gone into this in other videos, but you can check back with Boundless too about like what the current education is. If you haven't already figured that out, this is not really our video where we go into the education, but just know it's going to be a bit of the same stuff as far as like some core academics, right? And some self-directed learning, some project-based stuff based on the current quest, the current United Nations Sustainable Development Goal that they're working on. And so all of that in their curriculum.
Yeah. The EC, great location, clean space, modern space, a little small inside, not huge, but great place for a central location in this town.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the ECAs, which are the extracurricular activities, the after school activities. Our kids are so we have 3 kids. I guess we could have said this, right? If you don't know, we have a 2-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And the 11-year-old and the 9-year-old are participating in flamenco.
Flamenco dancing
They tried to teach
class.
me. They said my
With the
wrist
castanetas.
isn't. They told me that I have to go with my wrist.
Oh, you look like a pro. I do think that they've chosen ECAs that are relevant to the culture here, to the Spanish culture. So you can do the guitar class, flamenco, tennis is a great another one that's here. And so they have chosen ECAs that fit the place that we're in. Right. And our kids have been happy with them.
Yeah, I think that our kids they're really enjoying their ECA. We can only really speak to that one ECA though. I can't really speak to like how everybody has enjoyed their other ECAs, but this one has been run really well. All the kids are engaged, which is really important to me, is that if they're gonna be doing something that they want to learn, that there's not a bunch of kids that the teacher has to manage, right? That they are all engaged and excited, and they all come out after class usually and like show us their new routine and their dance and everything, so.
And for us personally, we don't want to fill the time up with ECAs every day. Yeah. We want to give some flexibility so they can have some play dates here, do some other after school activities.
This is true.
So for us, we've decided that ECAs every day are not the answer for us. Also, it's a long session, 3-month cohort, and so for them to do that same activity every week for the whole cohort, for some of them and some of the activities, it can get a little bit repetitive for them.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, if you do something every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we personally, like Jake said, we just like to leave some gaps because there's always play dates or the kids want to get into other things. Or, I mean, especially Estepona, there's like other things you could do. I know some friends just signed up for some martial arts. Our kids at one point started to do some like fly circus, it's called, but they can do like the hoops and the aerial stuff. Actually, I take the classes as an adult now.
Pro mode.
It's not pro mode, but it's really fun to be able to like try all these different things. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff around town, which is not always available in other locations as many of the like the extra kids. I guess that kind of is, but yeah, so let's move on.
So next, let's talk about the hub. So at each of the Boundless locations, they have a co-working space where the adults can work during the day. It's generally not a family location. It's for the adults to actually work and get hours in during the day or after school, depending on your time zone you're working in. Yeah. The one here is in Old Town. The hub, the working hub, is in Old Town. They do have
Are you looking at my notes?
They do have sound booths. There is an extra hub. So it is a nice clean space. The location's actually great in Old Town, and it's a good center place where you can just pop out and have lunch really quickly from there.
It is a really nice location in Old Town. It's kind of like tucked tucked in a little bit, but I don't know how they found the location. It's
And
like corner location, and it's a beautiful.
And it's right next to these Roman ruins and an old castle, Castillo de San Leon.
Yeah, and there's some good restaurants right there. So it is a fantastic location, but it is not on the way to school necessarily, and not necessarily on the way back, depending on, I guess, where you're going and coming from. So they also have. Did you want to say something else about that hub?
I was going to say, it's not the biggest hub, but it's a nice clean space.
Oh, yeah,
there's some nice workstations. There's some sound booths in it. And yeah, again, if you're planning to use the hub, you might want to plan to live near it. So that could be a reason to orient yourself near Old Town or easy walking distance there.
That's true.
So this session, because there's so many families here, they actually added a second family lounge area. Mm-hmm. So this is actually right on the main, what do you call it? The boardwalk?
I call it the promenade.
I like how she says promenade.
Well, I was calling it a malecon. I realized that was a Spanish
Mexican word.
Or so Mexican thing. So now I call it a promenade.
So they have actually added another family lounge on the promenade. And I don't know if that's going to stay forever. They have plans to actually change it to another location. So they do plan to have a family lounge, which generally the parents have been using as a working space.
Yeah, just because it's right, this temporary one is right on the way to the education center, and it's a nice spot to meet kind of for coffee after you drop the kids off for like a nice little social moment in the morning. But that's kind of in flux. That extra one is, I think it's temporary for now.
But they have said they're planning to open up another family lounge. So there will be a working hub and a separate family lounge so that not only people can work there during the day, but also have gatherings and meetups and classes. I know Michelle took one class at the one that's currently open.
Yeah, right.
And we've also had game nights at this family lounge.
Yeah.
So a space where the community can have certain events.
And they have like Friday nights. Some people go and have like family movie night on Friday nights. We have game nights on Sunday nights for adults. So it's nice to have that.
And you can plan your kid's birthday party there. So all that might be in flux. Just check as you get closer to your cohort to see what's going to be available for your session.
Right. And then as far as experiences with Boundless Life, one that you just alluded to that I took was a sourdough making class, which there have been a ton of different classes and a ton of different activities that have seemed to get really great feedback. I think they have a great mix of activities.
Hikes, biking tours, canyoning, boat tours with seated dolphins, excursions.
Paella making, watercolor for the adults, maybe even pottery for the adults.
Guitar lessons, Spanish lessons.
Yeah. So
those are, and by the way, those are all for additional costs. Those are not included in the Boundless fees.
Right, and some of those are just for the parents during the day when the kids are at school, and other of those are for like family activities. So they have a ton of stuff, way more than you could ever do, but a lot of options, which makes it really nice. You can check and see what's available for the time of year that you decide to go, but there's going to be, without a doubt, a lot of opportunities and options to get into different classes and activities and experiences.
Yeah, you really have to just focus on what do I want to get out of the session.
I mean, I did sourdough making because out of all the places that we've traveled, and we've traveled a lot with our kids, over 60 countries, and for years now, almost 10 years. 70? Oh. And I've never taken a sourdough making class. And so I was like, I gotta do this one. And it was really fun. And so, they have all different stuff like that too. That might not be necessarily like Spanish necessarily, but it's like something that I've been wanting to do, and I finally made the time to do it.
And they have a lot of great bakeries here. So it makes sense that they have brought that to the table.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's talk quickly about weather. So we are, like Jake said, in the January to February cohort. We're January to March cohort. We are currently in the month of March, so we've had a couple months under our belt here, and the weather has been fantastic. It's been sweater weather, maybe a jacket.
It's like cool in the shade and warm in the sun.
Like I could go in my bathing suit when it's on 65 and sunny. The sun is warm here, and a lot of days it's like blue skies and sun. It kind of depends, but if the clouds come in, then you want a sweater or a jacket when it gets windy on the coast. So, but that's been really nice because we've never had to worry about are we going to be too hot or too cold typically, right?
The weather here this session has been beautiful. Every day walking around is like, I'm so glad that we chose to be here this time of year. It's perfect.
Now everybody's going to want to come this time of year. It's going to be full.
Sorry.
So we can't really speak to the other times of year, but as with most of Europe, it's going to get hot and crowded in the summer. No matter where you go in Europe, people love that though. Sometimes they really love the vibe. The beach is
bustling in the summer.
Yes, right now it's empty. You have the whole beach to yourself, but in the summer they're going to put out chairs and tables, and there's going to be all sorts of stuff. And that's also a fun vibe. Like they're both, I see the value in both. So it's like, what do you want?
I will say that our cohort being here in the winter, it's a less beachy, less people swimming in the water,
Right.
less beach
It's more
days.
cold plunge.
But I'm sure if we come throughout other seasons of the year here, it'll be way more beachy. Hey, let's go to the beach. Let's do beach days.
Yeah. This is more like, let's have a beach day, but play at the beach, right?
Yeah.
And it's also very nice that way. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. Okay, let's talk about food.
Oh, food, you say? Where are we again? We are in the country. Wait, give me some space here. I gotta operate. We are in the land of the oranges. La tierra de las naranjas. And let me tell you, you can get oranges everywhere. They grow in all the trees in the streets, but those ones, too bad, they're too bitter to eat. They're not really edible.
I like all the dogs pee and poop.
That's good. You know, they're
Fertilizer?
fertilizing it.
Actually, there's something you said about that. No, okay. I had no idea he was doing that. I was wondering why there's oranges right here.
Because I got hungry.
Okay, the food here, it always takes me, if you see my other videos, I'm really into food, nutrition, where I can get the best sources of stuff that I can when we are gonna be somewhere for a while, because there's so many times where we are not somewhere for a while, and so I just kind of go with the flow. But when we are, I love trying to figure out what the best sources of food are. Here, we've had so many grocery stores, right? And they're all pretty great. There's some big like hypermarket type of stores, there's smaller ones, and there's also organic bio types of stores too. A couple of them that I can walk to, which is really, really nice. So I seem to find everything I need here. It took me a little longer to find a good farm to deliver to me, but I finally did find an organic farm to deliver a CSA box to me, including some eggs. They have honey, they have other stuff too, which has been really, really nice. We went to visit that farm to check out exactly how they do their crops and their permaculture and their regenerative farming, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and generally the produce here is quite good. We're getting produce from Spain, from Portugal, from France, very, so pretty local to this area and the Iberian Peninsula.
But I'm getting my produce from a farm that's organic.
And straight from the farm.
Which is way more important to me. Okay, so I have that delivered. I found some good fruit, like small fruit farms and avocado farms, that small growers, organic, that also have delivered some great boxes. So I'll leave that information as well in here.
But in general, produce, vegetables, fruits, groceries have been great
Lots of
here.
stuff.
And you can go to the big markets, you can go to the medium-sized markets, or the more local markets right here across the street.
Yeah.
So you have lots of options, all
So
within
many.
walking distance.
Yeah, so many. There's like fruit stands all over the place. So,
Yeah.
and then a lot of great restaurants too.
Yes, so many. We haven't really been in a restaurant vibe here. We've been more into cooking here, but all the other families in the cohorts are going out to a lot more restaurants and giving all these thumbs up on all the places they've been going to.
Yeah, I mean, even the restaurants that we've got, like some tapas, some like healthier meal. They have some good healthy restaurants, a lot of tapas places.
And they have a variety too, so international fare. So we did have sushi,
right.
And so you can kind of get whatever you're in the mood for.
Yeah.
Also, Amazon is available here,
Yes,
so Amazon
good
Spain.
point. Yeah.
So you can get deliveries of things that you need that might not be readily available at local places here.
Yeah, compared to other locations, this is an easy delivery spot.
Yeah, I mean, like we had a kind of a crisis. We were looking for some 1980s outfits for a murder mystery party we had. So we couldn't really find what we needed here, so we had to go onto Amazon and have them bring it in.
So let's move on really quick.
Wait, we also need to talk about, where are we? We're in Spain. Home of the olive oils, where all the olive trees grow. And so we did, Michelle, I said I would really love to go to an olive oil farm and see how they make the olive oil here. Michelle found a wonderful one, an organic
like
farm.
A family one.
Yeah, and so
we love tasting olive oils.
we do. And listen, I don't have an olive oil problem. You have an olive oil problem.
If you think this is all the olive oils we have in our house, you are wrong.
This is not half of the olive oil we have here.
But these are all actually from different farms.
Yeah.
This is actually from the small fruit farms that I order from. This is one of their add-ons from another local farm. This is one that we visited. This is kind of like out of the way.
I made this.
And this is, actually this is
I bought it there.
These trees are out of Andalusia as well, Olivetas.
So it is nice and fun. The olive oil is incredible. We've been learning about the different types, the varieties of olives and how they produce olive oils that are different, that are better for different things.
And our family just loves any type of food, eating, taste testing experience.
Yeah, Jody was chugging shots of olive oil.
It was cute.
So it's been fun to also lean into some of the Spanish cultural and culinary specialties of the area.
Right, yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about side trips. We're just going to go through. We're not going to really get into depth with a lot of these, but just so you understand, there's a lot of opportunities for side trips here.
Yeah, and 30 families, you can imagine, when there are longer weekends, people go in every direction. So there's so much you could do. A lot of them look at the map and say, okay, where's the cheapest flight to if they're trying to get into other places in inner Europe or across to Africa. What's amazing is from here along the promenade, you can look across and see Africa. See right into Morocco. It's that close. So there are easily, you can get a boat trip, a ferry over to Morocco, or easy flights deeper into Morocco. Also, Gibraltar is 30, 40 minutes away. So you can drive and do a day in Gibraltar. Yeah.
So there's lots of opportunities. And I would say also leave some flexibility open. I know a lot of times everybody wants to have everything planned, which is probably great during high season, right? But if you're on one of the shoulder seasons or low season, then leave some flexibility, because I think a lot of families have gathered together and decided to do trips together as well here.
They're renting Airbnbs out in vineyards, out in the countryside, and just grouping up with families that they're connecting with to have a little more weekend away.
And for us, because we have been to Spain and Costa del Sol, and we've just have done so much travel over the last years, that a lot of times these are our moments in travel where we just want to chill and be. So we don't try to do or see everything, because this is our lifestyle. So a little bit different than a family coming in for 3 months abroad, right? So a lot of our day trips have just been renting a car and going to Tarifa, which is
on the Atlantic coast,
just south, right? Yeah. Which is a cool town to check out. A little bit more of a Moroccan-y vibe, but in Spain. We did Sevilla. We drove to Sevilla just even for the day. We drove. It's a longer drive.
2 hours, but each way, not that bad.
But super. I mean, Sevilla is always beautiful. Like I said, Malaga was underrated, I think. That was a great trip. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and also Marbella. Marbella is the closest nearby city. It's just 20 to 30 minutes away, depending where you're going. And Marbella has, if you're looking for some specialty shopping, clothing, food, something that Estepona does not have, Marbella is right there. Yeah. There is a bus that picks you up right here for €5, and you can go right into the heart of Marbella by bus, public bus, clean, on time, every day, perfect. Or it's an easy 20, 30 minute car ride away. So Marbella has a lot of things to offer, additional restaurants, dining, things that Estepona may not have in flux here.
Right. So, and then there's Cordoba, which is a little bit further away. There's a bunch of
Granada with the Alhambra. If you're in high season, make sure you plan tickets for the Alhambra.
Yes.
Because that can get harder to get into the Alhambra. Sevilla was gorgeous with the Plaza de España. And La Giralda, the great tower.
We've even done hikes, taken car just 20 minutes or so, taken an awesome hike and done some Roman baths, some natural Roman baths, which was really fun. Like we said, the olive orchards, visiting some farms, other little port towns and such along the way. And then Jake talking to the rental car agent one time was okay, where should we go? And she gave you all these cool recommendations that nobody had ever recommended to us before. And one was the sand dunes. Yeah. And that ended up being, then we did it, and then a bunch of other families were we got to do that too. That looks so much fun. I think everybody has had a blast doing that. And that's 45 minutes away or something, an hour away?
Bologna. And it's the highest sand dunes in Europe, very spread out, and there's not really anything there. You just go and enjoy the day.
Lower your expectations. It's not the Sahara. But it was for us, because we had no expectations, and we came in and we just the kids were just free running up and down these dunes, and it was super fun. It was super fun.
And they have Roman ruins that they had to uncover there, so you can, from the dunes, you can see into some of the Roman ruins, or you can pay to go through the whole museum area there.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to pros and cons really quick so that this video isn't too long. I'm just gonna run through some of the pros, not really dwell on them too much, but if you have anything to say, let me know. But sidewalks, fantastic. And I have notes, that's what I'm gonna read off of.
So great. Not only sidewalks, but also crosswalks. Yeah. Here they really respect pedestrians.
True.
The cars stop for pedestrians, even if it's annoying to them. They will just sit there and wait without complaining.
Yeah.
It's really nice and refreshing.
It is. It is really crazy. Kids having scooters is really easy here. You know, you can buy helmets here, buy scooters here. It's really easy.
Yeah.
Little bikes are nice to have here. Because we said they have like a nice bike path. You can rent bikes here. Sorry.
Yeah. On that topic, you could show up with nothing, no luggage, no suitcase, anything. And in 2 days, you would have your all the clothes you need, all the supply, the things, because there's just everything here that you need.
And we can't say that about every location.
No, definitely not. And so here it's been really great to be able to add a helmet here, a scooter there, really easily without having to scour the town.
And that's one of the keywords I have on here actually that I keep telling people also when they're like, "Why are you guys coming back?" I'm like, "It's easy." When I want easy travel, this is it. This is also one of my cons actually though too, because sometimes it's like too easy. You don't feel like you're like getting that gritty cultural experience necessarily, but this place is easy. So if you're like first time family traveling or you're not really sure about being abroad, this is easy. This is really easy. And I mean, like we said, in this off season at least, like very much the local Spanish culture. Yes, a lot of expats, especially from the UK, but it's a very much like you can, if you speak Spanish or you want to practice your Spanish, Jake is constantly like speaking Spanish to all the, store owners and shopkeepers and such around town, which is nice. Okay, other things, great playgrounds. Sorry, did you have something you were really
No, I just did want to focus on the walkability. It is so nice to be able to walk all day. You leave your house in the morning, walk the kids to school, and then you can walk up to play paddle. You can walk from your yoga class, walk to this, and walk to the grocery store. And I get really high on being able to walk all day, spending all day outside. It brings a lot of positivity to my day.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, another family and I were talking about this the other day. It's just like, even when it rains, you're walking everywhere. So it's not like this like, oh, I sat inside my house all day or I got my car to go to the grocery store. You're like walking everywhere. If you need something, you're walking everywhere. It's really quite a nice lifestyle. It's refreshing. But I put on this pros is the high sun score. I mean, it's sunny so many days. Costa del Sol for a reason, right? Lots of sun, easy beach access. Like we said, there's super charming old town. It's really cute. A lot of the streets like each have a themed color of potted plants. So it's like the pink potted plant street, and then you walk around the corner in Old Town. The blue potted plant street.
Super picturesque.
Really
the
picturesque.
Streets are gorgeous. Yeah.
Also, nothing feels very expensive here. Everything feels like a decent value as far as Europe goes. If you're comparing it to Bali, well, okay, yeah, it's more expensive. But as far as like other European countries go, this feels like,
even though compared to Marbella, when we were in Marbella a couple times, we noticed the prices are significantly higher there than they are in Estepona. So having it just be a little bit more off the beaten path, I think you really benefit from that.
Which kudos to Boundless again. They always find these like gem locations that you really haven't heard of. Everybody's heard of Marbella, but have you heard of Estepona? Like probably not.
Now you have.
Okay, and then just to say also, again, the bike path and renting bikes is really easy, and we've taken some like great like day trips renting bike. You can go from here to like Marbella on a bike.
So not only is there the promenade, which is gorgeous and wide open, but the bike path continues and it just goes and goes and goes from miles and miles, kilometers and kilometers, all the way to Marbella basically.
It's really nice, really, really nice to have. Okay, there's also like lots of doctors and dentists and everything that you need as far as that goes as well around here. So that's nice too. Okay, did you have anything to add to that pro list that we haven't maybe touched on?
Just I would say in general, I feel really happy every day because of the lifestyle that we're living here. Yeah. And it feels very healthy.
Yeah. And we tend to like Spanish culture. So we tend to like lean into Spanish culture because we want our kids to, keep practicing the language and such. So cons.
So the number one most annoying thing is dog poop. On the sidewalks, there's just an exorbitant quantity of dog poop. As you're walking, you have to dodge it.
I can't even believe it.
Dodge it with the stroller, dodge it with a scooter. So, and it's weird because I do see people picking up their dog poop. So I'm not sure where all this poop is coming from. But there's a lot of dog poop around the sidewalks.
There it is. You're just like...
Balance that with, they also do a good job of spraying down the streets every couple of days, keep it clean.
They do. I mean, like it's usually cleaned up by the next day. It's just like, it's there. So just
watch your step.
That's the European smoking culture. I would say this is not like as bad as some other European places for sure. I haven't like been that affected by it, but it's still there.
Every restaurant bar has outdoor tables and there's someone smoking at every other table for sure. as the city's growing, they're also continuing to build more and more apartments.
Yeah.
So there is a good amount of construction, not all congregated. It's sort of spaced out here and there.
Yeah, and I can imagine though that there is, right now there's no traffic, it's really easy. But I can imagine in high season it's trafficy.
Yeah, because they do rely a lot on roundabouts, rotaries,
Right.
whatever you call them, anything else. And also because they're so protectant of the pedestrians, crosswalks. So I can imagine in high season that their cars would be backed up to the highway, just waiting to go around these roundabouts and wait for the pedestrians.
But we haven't been here, so we don't know. So maybe it's just a different flow than we think. Okay, anything else on the con list?
I would just say, depending on the season you're in, it's going to be very different. I think if you're here in the low season, in the winter time, you have a lot less tourism, a lot more locals are kind of out and about, it seems like, because they're not, hiding amongst the tourists.
Yeah, but I mean, that just depends again on like, what do you want? What is your vibe? Like a lot of people love that, like vibe, around the beach and swimming. If you want swimming weather, this is not your season.
No.
But if you want more chill, relaxed, not as many tourists, this could be your season.
I would say this right now, though, feels very local. I don't hear very much English being spoken around. It's very Spanish, very local, very authentic Spain right now.
And we found it, I mean, we like our kids to try to get as much Spanish speaking practice in as possible to keep their fluidity. And so I even found like a little baking class. I went into a bake shop and I just asked the lady, could you do classes for my daughter? Because I realized very quickly when I personally walk into a place and try to speak Spanish, they will switch to English because my Spanish is really bad. Hence I put on my kids to learn Spanish. So when somebody keeps speaking in Spanish to me, I know that they don't know English and I'm like, perfect. Will you please hold a class for my kids to learn baking in your bake shop? And so she does, so our daughter gets, 2 hours a week baking and just speaking Spanish the whole time, which is really nice. So you can find that kind of stuff too around town, if that's something important to you.
Yep. And they also have, Michelle's going to start a salsa class tomorrow.
Yeah.
Watch out.
I know, I'm excited. I don't think this is the move, but
It's about to be.
Well, let's just say, would we recommend this location?
Yeah, I absolutely think this is going to be Boundless's #1 location in popularity because it is so nice here.
Yeah.
And it is so easy and they can handle so many families. Some things we haven't really talked about are just all the activities that the parents are doing. So there's a huge, intense paddle community.
Oh my gosh, we haven't even talked about that.
I mean,
that's like most of our life here.
Every single day, someone is playing paddles somewhere, and they have a good variety of courts, both the kind of the private club courts and the government local courts.
It's €6 to rent a government paddle court, and it's literally a 5-minute walk down the street. It's amazing. And I want to say too, I would say over half of the families that are playing paddle now have never played paddle before. They show up and they took some lessons, or they didn't. They just started to play with other people, and so there's all different levels, and it makes it just like a fun community thing. I mean, sometimes we'll show up to the courts and there's Boundless families playing on every single, about parents.
And if you don't know what paddle is, it's sort of like pickleball, tennis,
meets
squash.
racquetball.
So you'll figure out what it is.
Learn.
But it's a fun social game. We play a lot of mixed doubles, just kind of social fun matches.
Yeah.
And then other people play super competitive, so you can go both ends of the spectrum.
Right, but you're right. We haven't talked about there is. I think one question I got was is there going to be enough to do if I'm not working? And I'm like, I promise you're going to have to say no to multiple things every single day.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to say no to things because there are so many opportunities to always get together with people. Especially in a location like this where it's going to be popular, every cohort. I mean, if you throw out on something like, hey, anybody up for a walk? You're going to get people taking a walk. There's a mom that teaches a Tabata class once a week.
A fitness class.
And I mean, we've held steady at probably 10 to 20 people attending every single week, right? Yep. There's a Boundless held yoga class once a week, which is nice, on the beach, which is included.
Not paid for. And so we've done every Tabata class, we've done our yoga class.
Yep. And then we've been playing
people
paddle.
Are doing tennis lessons.
Yeah.
There are lots of
hikes. There's always somebody does anybody want to go grab lunch?
Lots of people go to Marbella for the day, come back, pick up the kids.
Yeah. There's family-led, we've talked about this in other cohorts that have been really nice family-led talks, a parent teaching other parents about a topic. Jake has held like guys circles?
Dad's
circles.
improving daily, yo, did he? That's the yo. Yeah, we've had little wine and cheese parties and gatherings and get-togethers, meetups.
I mean, there is so much every single day. I should look at our calendar and go through what we go through on a day because there's a lot. Okay, so lots and lots of things that you can do.
It's going to fill up your calendar for sure.
Yeah. Before
Michelle, would you recommend Spain, Boundless Spain, Estepona? By the way, they call it Boundless Spain, Boundless Estepona, Boundless Andalusia. They're all the same thing. There's only one Boundless Spain at this time. Would you recommend Boundless Estepona to families?
Yes. But here's the thing, is whenever somebody asks me, I'm like, what do you want? What is important to you? I mean, to me, this is what I wanted in this season time of my life at this part of the year. And sometimes that has to do with like where we've come from, where we've been, what our plan is for the rest of the year. So while I say yes, this is going to be an easy one for me to recommend because I think it's just an easy location. But while I say yes, it's like, what do you really want to experience? If you want to like really get like a cultural shock or like get some gritty travel, this is not your place, right? But for so many reasons that we have mentioned throughout this entire video, I mean, this is a pretty easy yes. Right?
I also would say absolutely yes. I recommend coming here. I think it really leads you to live a happy life, a fulfilled life here while you're here. Very social, very fun, lots of outdoor time. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you choose a different Boundless location over Spain?
Okay,
Let's just go through them all.
Let's go through, but we're not going to go into depth. We're just going to do a really quick,
Topical.
Why would you maybe choose one over the other? Again, maybe just food for thought. You have to decide what's important to your family. I think this is really important when I talk to people or they're asking me, like, what would you recommend? I really think you have to dig into, like, what is it that you really want for your family?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go. What does Tuscany have over Spain?
Tuscany has the access to public trains, which make it so easy to get anywhere in the country, really easy on their public train system.
We're talking about the Pistoia Boundless location versus this Boundless location, right? So,
whereas here in Estepona, there's not really there's no train, there's no airport.
But renting the car is easier.
But it's very easy to rent a car here. True. Also, I find the towns in Italy and Tuscany to be just breathtaking and so old world-ish, all the stone top towns.
Yeah.
And so I really think that Tuscany, Boundless Tuscany, has an edge over Boundless Spain on just the beauty of those little villages.
There's some cool towns here too, but
there are.
I mean, Tuscany just has more of that wow.
Okay, your turn.
All right.
Why would you go to Boundless Bali instead of Boundless Spain?
Because I love Southeast Asia. No, I think Bali has such value, right? It's inexpensive. Everything you do there is such a value for what you get, like what you get in return. And I love Southeast Asia, but Southeast Asia is not for everyone. No. It's a very unique vibe. And if you love it, you love it. And if you don't, you don't. I love it. So I love Bali for that reason, I would say. What about you for Bali?
Yeah, I think that the outdoorness in Bali, like you are just in your swimming gear all the time in Bali. It's very hot,
barefoot and a bathing suit
and fresh fruits everywhere, all that. Yeah. So really, I mean, Bali is a special place for some of that, just like feeling like you're part of nature in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more developed.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, what would you say Sintra has over Andalusia?
I think, first of all, just the magic of Sintra. It's really a mystical town, how it's in that microclimate on top of the hill, looking up at the castle walls, overlooking, Sintra, and that cool, misty air that
the hike's right at your footsteps.
Being able to walk out your door and walk to another village through the woods, through this hike. Oh, I love the access to the hiking and outdoors there in Sintra.
As far as value goes, it's interesting though. I think like Portugal and Spain have like a lot of that same like value, like not super expensive as far as European countries go.
Okay, why, Michelle, would you choose to go to Boundless Montenegro instead of Boundless Spain?
I mean, Montenegro, I was talking with another family about this the other day. It's just like, it is majestic. I mean, the beauty is unreal, really. I mean, like the mountains, the sea, that is not how it is here. It's not like
you're talking about in Kotor Montenegro.
In Kotor, yeah. I mean, it's pretty majestic, and you have the old town right there. I mean, it's pretty cool. You do not have that level of like natural beauty right here, I would say.
Yeah. Also, I think part of the beauty of Kotor location, the Boundless location, it's a smaller cohort, smaller group.
Yeah.
And so you really get to know everyone really well, really tight group. And so you can feel really connected to everyone there.
Right.
Here I will say, because it's the biggest location, so many families in every direction, at some points I feel like I'm a little disconnected from other people, and I'm making not deep enough connections to other people because there's so many people I want to connect with.
It's true. It's like the blessing and the curse. You have like lots of cool people and people that you would like to get to know better, but there's only so much time, and because everything's a little more spread out here, you don't get that as close bonding connection as, I mean, we did in Kotor. It was just like, you know, everybody's really close on a different level just because you're there together all the time. So, okay, last one. Syros. What do you like about Syros more than Estepona?
Boundless Greece.
Yes.
Syros. Well, the access to the water in Syros is fantastic. The clear, crystal clear water. And we were there in the fall until late November, you know. The water was still fantastic to swim in. Being able to just walk 5 minutes down to the water, jump in, do a little swim in that crystal clear water where you can see to the bottom is amazing. As well as the kids being able to do that sailing class there.
Yeah.
Where they really just got more and more comfortable being on those little boats and sailing themselves.
I mean, it's an island feel. It's more of this like magical Greek island feel, but maybe not all of the amenities that maybe Estepona has because it's an island.
So those are reasons why you would go to a different Boundless location instead of Spain.
Yeah.
But really the truth is, Boundless Estepona has so much going for it.
Yeah.
Very easy if you're trying to just get over to do a cohort in Europe. I think that Boundless Estepona would be a great fit for you. It's just a matter of what you're looking for, what season you're in, and what you really need as a family.
Right. So if you have any questions, like we said, feel free to message us. I'll drop my Instagram right here. And if you have not stayed with Boundless before and you need a discount code, you can use ours for €600 off your first stay. Again, we are not influencers. We are not sponsored by Boundless. We are just sharing our experience since we've been to now 6 Boundless Life locations.
That's right.
6 Boundless Life locations.
And don't worry, we're planning on going to the next one in April.
Okay, so stay tuned for that one. All right, signing off. We gotta go.
Thanks.
Eat some oranges and olive oil.